Hey, I'm Betsy, and this is probably going to be the most low tech, no budget podcast you're ever going to hear. Because honestly, I've been putting this off for way too long. I'm squeezing this in while my daughter is at school, and therefore the house is quiet for once. And I've finally stopped overthinking it so I can bring this podcast to you. I'm here to share the real, unfiltered, highs and lows of being a mom of a child with autism. No polished studios, no fancy tech skills or editing skills, just honest conversations, personal stories, and hopefully a little bit of support for anyone who's also on this journey. So let's dive right in and see where this takes us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. This is the first episode of the Diary of an Autism Mum. Okay, so essentially, this is a podcast about me and my journey as a parent, I guess, of a child with autism. Now, my daughter is now 12, and it's been quite a journey. So I kind of want to take you through that journey. I want to share the experiences I've had as a mom, as a wife, as just a general 40-year-old navigating the craziness and the chaos of what we live in at the moment. I'm a working mom, which brings more challenges as well. Um, but essentially, I want to tell you kind of what I've gone through to share that because it might help yourself if you're in a similar situation. It might help give you an understanding if you know somebody in my situation. Perhaps you have a family member, a friend, or somebody you know with autism or that has a family member with that condition, and you just want to know a little bit more about some of those challenges that that family experiences. So a little bit of an introduction to myself. I'm 40, yeah, probably hitting that kind of perimenopause time of my life. So, um, I am married. I've been married for 15 years to my lovely husband, Lee, and we have a 12-year-old daughter called Sienna. And Sienna is autistic. She is also nonverbal, and she goes to a special educational needs school. And obviously, I'm going to talk predominantly about Sienna throughout this podcast. I'm not going to give you everything in this introduction to the podcast. But I think it's just important that you kind of know a little bit background about me and why this podcast might be of interest, or it might be something that you want to listen to if you're just looking for something, a podcast, and why it's going to be beneficial. So the aim of the podcast is to generate awareness. Um, it's an informal podcast. It's going to be me talking, but it's also going to be me with guests, different people that may have supported me along the way, but also professionals that work within this area that I think could help anybody as a parent, as a mom, as a dad, as just a care person with caring responsibilities, just to kind of understand what autism, uh, what you experience, if autism is in your life as first-hand experience, or just somebody in your family. When Sienna was about 3, so that was kind of when we got the diagnosis. So obviously we recognized signs before that, but it's quite a long process. So we'll do an episode on the diagnosis. But from about the age of 3 to now, um, that's 9 years. Um, but I've felt quite not alone, that's the wrong kind of word, but I have felt it's difficult to talk to others, like my friends, like my family, because they don't necessarily understand the challenges that we as a family go through. So, as much as, my best friend is really supportive and can is really empathetic to our situation, and some of the challenges we experience. It's quite hard, I guess, for those people to really understand what we go through. And so sometimes you feel like you're moaning, or you feel like um, you're sharing your experiences, but do they really understand? And that's not really very fair on them, because they probably do. They're just not living it. But I think it would have been nice if I had listened to other stories, other moms, and maybe listened to their shared experiences, to feel like I'm not the only one going through this. And that sounds a bit naive, a bit silly, probably, because I definitely wasn't the only person going through this. Um, but I didn't really know where I could look for help, or look for reassurance, or just to listen to somebody else moan about all the things that we moan about. We're not perfect. I shout and yell all the time at my husband, poor husband. But sometimes you feel really guilty about it, and it goes back to that. She's autistic. Is this being naughty? Is this me being frustrated? Is this her condition? And I think this kind of podcast would have really helped me during those earlier years, to just hear some of those other experiences that other parents, moms, were going through. So that's really the main reason I wanted to start this. But also, I get asked a lot of questions from other people. Some people sort of starting off early, their child's showing signs of autistic traits, and you know, how long does it take to get diagnosed? Who did you go and talk to? Why did you do this? Oh, how come Sienna goes to this school, and so on. So I get a lot of people asking me questions. And, I think there's just so much information out there. It's really hard to know what's the right information, and where should we go with that information? What's the next step? So again, I want this to be a little bit of a safe space to share information with people, and they can take away what we did and how we dealt with things. And I'm not for 1 second saying what I did, and the choices that I've made are the right ones. I'm just going to share with what happened. And there are negatives and there are positives to all of those decisions we've made. And I have questioned myself many times. Should I have done this? Should I have done something different? Oh, but so and so is not doing the same as us. And you do question yourself a lot. So again, this podcast hopefully will give a bit of reassurance to kind of normalize those feelings and the self-doubt of what you're doing, because it's learning, and nobody gives you a manual. No one gives you a manual to parenting in general, but they certainly don't give you a special manual for navigating it with a child with autism, or any other disability, neurodiverse condition. So we are doing our best, and I think that's really important to remember. And it's something that I've had to really um, learn. I've had to learn that we can't do everything. We don't get it right all the time. And just to be kind to myself when things aren't going perhaps the way I want it to go. So hopefully, this is also the diary of an autism mum. So I also kind of want to share a bit about how I cope as well. I do a lot of things outside of working and being a mum, but I want to kind of share that journey as well, just so you don't have, your identity does not have to be, I'm Betsy and I've got a daughter with autism. Like, I think it's really important that we have our own identities, and if we can um, really understand our own values and what motivates us, and what gets us out of bed, what helps us self-regulate, how we can take care of ourselves. If we understand that about ourselves, then we're going to be better parents, we're going to be better moms, we are going to be able to just experience life in a far more um I won't say easier way, but we'll have the strategies to cope with those awful setbacks that we get, and we develop resilience like nobody else. I think one of the things that I read, and I totally agree, is that when you're an autism parent, you suffer the same kind of stress levels as somebody on the in the army on the battlefield, frontline soldiers. And I really think that is true. But what we have is this coping mechanism built within us. And because we have to, we're not special people, but because we have to, we uncover that resilience and we use it to battle every day, because it does feel like a battle every day. So I do want to share kind of things I do to kind of help me be that resilient person, be that person that can cope with stress, be that person that can be the best version of me and the best mom for Sienna. So hopefully that's giving you something that resonates and something that makes you want to listen a bit more. Um, and I will move on to who's this for. So I think I've covered a little bit about that. Like I said, essentially, I think it might be for moms that have children with autism, a child with autism. Maybe you're on that journey. You could be very early on, but you could be very late on. You could be an older mom. You could be your child could be older, and it'd be really interesting to get feedback from anybody who's been a parent in my situation, um, because you can teach me some things, and that is something that I've learned just talking to people, sharing your experiences is really nice because they will then open up, and you can hear about the challenges, sometimes preempt them before they come to you. Um, you just might want to know a little bit about autism, and you just want to kind of understand how it might affect children, families. So maybe you're an educator, maybe you are somebody that works with children with autism, and you want a bit more understanding of the family life, and so on. You could just be really nosy and want to know a little bit about me. I'm sure that's not the case, but yeah, this is really just anybody with an interest in autism, and kind of family life. It's not going to be on a very deep level. It's going to be shared experiences. Um, so I also think it's really important to um, share a bit of information about Sienna. So just a little bit. As I said, she's 12. So she sort of hit puberty a couple of years ago. So we navigated through that. I'll do an episode on going through sort of puberty hormones and the impact, because that is an episode in itself. She is the happiest little girl. I say little, she's nearly as tall as me, so she's about 5 foot. She's super strong. And yeah, she's always laughing, she's always giggling, but she has so much energy, and we just try and unlock that energy and channel it in the best way we can. She loves Peppa Pig, she's 12, she's, I would say, borderline obsessed. She currently, I mean, she loves books, so she'll love watching it, but just maybe in the background. Um, she will be fascinated with it on the phone, fascinated with it on the telly and on the iPad. She's like goes through YouTube like you wouldn't believe. But she loves her books. And when I say books, it's particular books, it's Peppa Pig books. She will look at some of the books, but at the moment we are really, really fixated on the Peppa Pig like Christmas annual. And she's been going through this phase for a few years now. So every year a new annual comes out, and she gets a little bit fixated on this particular one. And we have to buy loads and loads and loads of this book. I mean, I dread to think how many we've bought. I would say, well, when we went on holiday for 2 weeks, we took I think around 30 to 40 annuals in our luggage to make sure she had enough of a supply throughout the holiday. So that just gives you a bit of an inkling into how much we've spent. And yeah, she gets fixated on this particular book, and we have to really try and limit the amount she has because, as you can imagine, it's no longer Christmas, so this book is running out. But what will happen is, as we fade this one out, she'll probably get fixated on another type of Peppa Pig book, and she'll go through the cycle of being really rigorous in trying to find this book in the bookshops and wanting us to buy it for her. And then as we move through the months after August, the new version of that annual will come out and she'll spot it and then she'll start to want to buy that one again. So yeah, she also has a really bad, I say bad, it's just something that she does, but she rips the pages, and this is her, I guess, a stim. So her stimming behaviors where she just likes to rip the pages, she likes to flick through the books and then pull the book apart. And yes, we are literally throwing money down the drain. But it's just something that regulates her, something she enjoys. It's obviously a sensory thing, and it's like I say, it's a stim. So it's something that she uses to it's a comfort, I want to say. But we'll probably talk about stimming later on. So that's her at the moment. Like I said, she loves anything kind of like running, jumping. But her favorite thing is sitting with her books and ripping the pages. Um, what else does Sienna like doing? One of the things I struggled with about autism is, like, lack of eye contact, and obviously she doesn't talk because she's nonverbal. So she communicates with us with an app on her iPad and her iPhone. This is called Proloco to Go, and this is like a talking app. So she can point, click pictures that will then verbalize what she wants, like her requests, and she can put sentences together. So as you build up the vocabulary, she can then obviously say more sentences using this app. So currently she works on things like requests. So she might be able to say, I want the toilet, I want a biscuit, I want books, I want to go in the car. There's other things like if she wants certain people, she can request for those. If she wants to go home, if she wants to go, if she's finished, she likes to press finished. If she's doing something that she's had enough of, she'll say finished. So we went through a number of different things. We went through signing, we went through Makaton, but this particular method of communication works best. So it's a bit like a digitalized version of PECS. So for those of you who might have heard of it, PECS is picture exchange. I can't even remember what the C, picture exchange something. And that uses pictures, and you show the pictures, and that's used to show what you want, and like in recognition of words. Picture exchange communication, I'm guessing it stands for. But that was like a book, and it was pictures, and you were having to print pictures and laminate them and stick them on Velcro, and quite a long task actually. Whereas the iPad and the app is far quicker because you can just take a photo of the thing that you want, and then you can add that to your result, your bank of vocabulary, and then it gets added. So it's much quicker, is what I'm trying to ramble on and tell you. So that's how she communicates with us. She also, as parents and other people that are around her a lot, she also uses certain signs um, where I would know what she wants. So I'll give you an example. If she went like this, that would mean she wants to go out. She wants to go out in the car. So if she goes like this, that means she's finished. If she goes like this, it means she wants something to eat. And if she wants the toilet, she'll go like this, because that's like the toilet sign that we taught her when we were toilet training her. So those are really the only signs that she uses, and they are a little bit, yeah, she's, I don't know, she's been consistent with those, but she does generalize at times. And only people really that see her quite regularly would know that that's what she means by those signs. And that's why signing didn't really work, because I found when she met new people, they wouldn't know what those signs mean. So the app is obviously far more two-way, it's far more user friendly, and she can go into new surroundings with new people and they can still be able to have a conversation with her and understand what she wants, which is really important. Um, she's also, so what I'm, the non-verbal side obviously worries me, and the kind of, but one of the things I always thought about autism is like, oh, she's not going to give me eye contact, she's not gonna, my understanding of autism was just like the quiet kid that sat in the corner, didn't really want to be around people, and it was really naive and a little bit ignorant, because my exposure to people with autism was very limited, although I say limited, I've worked around people with autism, but I guess more of a high functioning side. So, you know, but what I learned with Sienna is she's the most affectionate kid. This is where I was going with this story. Um, and she loves to cuddle. She loves to like give you kisses. And she just loves a snuggle. And I think that was just something that both me and her dad really, really value, because when you don't hear words, you think you want something. So, yeah, when she's happy, when she's sad, she'll give you a cuddle. Well, she's quite manipulative as well, because when she wants something, she'll also give you a cuddle, because she sees that it can be quite transactional with her. I don't know where she's learned that, but yeah, she does like to give some cuddles, which is nice. It's more than nice, it's lovely. And when you're not, like I said, when you're not getting the kind of relationship that you would get with a neurotypical child, um, you just don't take those things for granted. So if you are a parent and you've got a child that's non-verbal, or a child that struggles to show you that affection, um, I hear you, I feel you, because it is really difficult. So you kind of, what I would suggest is just anything that you do get, celebrate the small wins, celebrate the small milestones. And they're not small, they just might, your perception initially is that they're small, but they're actually massive. And, don't take anything for granted. Because, the end of a long, hard day, difficult day, it can put a smile on your face. Yeah. So I have rambled on a lot there, and I think now would be a really good time to introduce to you something I'm currently working on. I was fortunate back last year to get a place in the London Marathon, and I entered the ballot just normal, like everybody else. Didn't really expect much of it, because I've entered it about 10 times and got nowhere. This time it would appear that my luck was in and I got a place. So excited, apprehensive. Somebody that loves to exercise and train. I I thought, wow, this is going to be amazing. I've always wanted to do a marathon. Now I'm kind of a few weeks into the running and the training. I'm thinking, wow, 26.1 miles is going to be a long time. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to run for over 4 hours or wherever the time takes me. So it's a massive challenge for me. I have done a couple of competitions, but nothing along this. I mean, the furthest I've run is my half marathon. I've done 2 half marathons, but I'm not by any means a natural runner. It's something I like to do slow to clear my mind. But yeah, running for 26.1 miles is taking its toll on me. But you know what? It's something that I can put my mind to. Now, what I've chosen to do is I've chosen to actually fundraise as well for my daughter's school. So my daughter goes to Reynolds Cross, which is a special educational needs for multi disabilities. So you've got physical disabilities there, and you have obviously disabilities, neurodiverse conditions, and so on. So there's like a variety of kids that attend that school. It goes from age 4 to 19. So it's quite nice because obviously as you get used to the school, the children get that familiarity with staff and the surroundings. So it's really good. But it isn't, you know, I live in a town called Solihull, and in Solihull there's a lot of kids that need to go to special educational needs, and there are very few schools, very few options that they can go to. So in this area, we have 2 schools. One is for more severe, which is Sienna's school, and then you've got one for less, I want to say less severe special educational needs, but it's kind of sort of between a special educational needs school and a mainstream school. It's sort of somewhere in between. And then you have 2 schools of the same type in the north of the area. So essentially, when we looked for schools, Sienna only had the 2 options of where to go. But we'll talk about school choices in another episode. And the funding for Sienna's school is really, really low, and they have so much work that needs doing. And because obviously it's a special needs school, there are less children there, but there are more requirements. They need a bigger budget, but they don't get a bigger budget. And currently there's a lot of work that needs to be done to the building, updating, but also just getting it functional. And at the moment, they need to build an accessible path to the school playing field. Now, the school playing field is, you know, it's such a lovely space, such a lovely area. There's so much work with drainage, and actually making it accessible for all the children to use is going to cost the school around £60,000. So I really wanted to help towards this project they're doing, because I think it's so important that the kids get this opportunity to use this area. There's so many things they can do with it, but there's just so much work that needs to be done. So it's not being used, it's not a functional space, and we'll learn a little bit more in the next episode about why it's so important to those children. But it's something really close to me, and I didn't really want to do like sponsorship because that's not really, I hate doing things like this, but actually I am doing a big challenge, and I wanted to actually show bring awareness to kind of the needs of this school, and actually if I can do something to help the school get this project completed. I mean, my fundraising target is £2,000. I'm obviously hoping to get more than that. But every penny that I raise, I know could be spent a million times over in that school. So even if we don't hit the target they need, it will be going towards it, and you know, it will be so beneficial for those children. And that's what really is going to carry me through those 26.1 miles. I keep saying in the hope that it's gonna sound easier, but it doesn't. So yeah, if you think of me running for over 4 hours, and just, you know, the things that are going to be driving me through that run, getting me to the end, to the finish line with a smile on my face, hopefully. It's going to be the fact that I'm running for a really good cause, something that's really close to my heart, something that will be beneficial to my daughter, but not just Sienna, but all the children at that school. And I will share with you just like some of the children that go there, and just kind of what impact the school environment has on our children. They have their challenges. I moan about the school from time to time. I know other parents will moan about their children's schools because no school is perfect. But you have only got what you've got. And you have these limited resources. And so it's even more challenging at a school like Reynolds Cross. And it's so sad to see the struggle that the school goes through when all the children there are already going through their own struggles. So whatever we can do to make this environment better, um, and so that they've got access to the things that we take for granted. I take it for granted that I can just get up, go outside and go for a run. I moan about it, but these kids don't have that. They don't have that ability, some of them, and um, just being out in the fresh air is actually a real challenge for some of them. So we want to make that environment better. We want to make it possible so that the kids that maybe have a physical disability, so in a wheelchair or something, or struggle to walk, that they've got a safe pathway to get onto that playing field and that they can use it, that they can have fun like every other child does. And they're not stuck to just one area of the playing, like the playground, because they can't actually access the nice sort of playing field. And I know there's loads of things that Dawn, the head teacher, wants to do in that area. So it would just be really amazing, really, if you can follow my journey and maybe share why I'm raising money. And if anybody out there who's listening to this wants to donate any money, I will obviously put up the appropriate links for my GoFund page, or you can just get in touch with me. And that brings us to the end of episode 1. I really hope you've enjoyed listening to the introduction episode to give you an idea about what this podcast is about and a little bit of an insight into my life. Next episode, I'll be joined by Dawn Brettle, the head teacher at Reynolds Cross, who'll be sharing her insights as a school leader of a special educational needs school and able to express some of the challenges that the students and staff go through. Thank you for listening.